welcome back to your online English classes, class 8 students. We are all together again, and today we are going to continue the previous chapter which we have already started and discussed, that is the Tsunami chapter from your English literature lesson number 2. In that we have discussed the chapter, we have discussed the stories, word meanings, and now we have already started the discussion of question answers. We were on the topic of grammar from the textbook. Behind the text we were discussing about the voices, active voice and passive voice. The examples are given in the book and that we were discussing. Let us see here. Before this exercise you had topic there, a table, that table we were discussing, and in that table two of the sentence I explained and I told you to discuss the remaining two yourself, and then we will continue for the next exercise. Next exercise also I gave you as a homework where you have to find out whether the given sentence is in active voice or passive voice. So, let us discuss the homework questions and you can check your answers whether they are right or not. So, you can have it. So, let us see what is there. We have seen this chart where the column A and B is given, and we were discussing the sentences. As you can see here, we have seen that the sentence is showing passive voice, there it is showing active voice. Now, let us see third one. 60 visitors were washed away. In this sentence we can find, as in the beginning, this sentence you can find 60 visitors is the subject here, then were washed away is the verb. But here we come to know that 60 visitors were actually one who receives the action of getting washed away. It means this verb is reacted or reflected on the 60 visitors. Actually, it is an object of the sentence of the verb. We do not have actual subject of the sentence here. So, here we have to who washed away the 60 visitors is not mentioned here. Who were washed away it is mentioned, but by whom it is done it is not given. That means this sentence is again in passive voice. Now, the next part on the table it is given, the waves washed away 60 visitors. Now, here it is very clear who did the action, 60 waves. So, this is the waves, this is subject, washed away is the verb we have already discussed, and 60 visitors object that they receive the action. So, here we get the formula of the sentence, that is subject plus verb plus object, and hence we can say that this sentence is also in active voice, as the other two sentences from this column they were in active voice. Let us see, is the same sequence is followed of active voice passive voice in the fourth example or not. No animal carcasses were found. So, what was done? Were found. Were found is the verb. What were found? No animal carcasses. So, this is actually object, but by whom they were not found it is not mentioned here, means the doer of the action is missing here. So, the importance is given to the object that receives the verb. The doer of the action is here passive, so omitted. So, this is in passive voice, and the same sentence we have here in the another way. People did not find any animal carcasses. So, did not find is the verb. What they did not find? That animal carcasses. So, it is object, and who did not find? People. So, people is the subject. So, we have here doer of the action, action word, and then the receiver of the action, that is an object. So, this sequence of the sentence, the format of the sentence tells us that it is in active voice. So, I hope your answers are same there, the same active voice passive voice you found there. Now, Let's see the next exercise. Let's discuss the next exercise, which was your homework. Here you have to find out whether the subject is, means the sentence is active voice or is in passive voice. So first example is already given here, that someone stole my bicycle. So here someone is the doer of the action, stole is the action word, and what is stolen? My bicycle. So bicycle is an object here. So the sentence format is subject plus object. Here format is subject plus verb plus object. So we have written here, it is in active voice, it is given A. We have to follow this for another one if it is in passive voice. So now here this is the correct formula followed in first one sentence. Now the tires were deflated by the traffic police. So as you know, in active voice, passive voice, by term is always helpful to understand the sentences in passive voice. Still we will see here, their tires were deflated. So what is the verb here? Were deflated is the verb. What were deflated? The tires. So tires is actually, though it is on the place of subject, but it is the receiver of the action. The tires were receiving the action of deflation. So here it is an object. So we have O in the beginning, then verb, and by whom the tires were deflated? So the traffic police. So doer of the action is shifted on the place of object. So it is in passive condition. Focus is given on the receiver of the action. So this is actually the subject of the sentence, that is on the object place. So we have format here, object plus verb plus subject. So object plus verb plus subject, it is in passive voice. So our answer is here P. This is the answer. Now next is, I found it last night in a ditch near my house. Okay. So what action is done here? What is the verb here? So here found is the verb. So this is the verb. Now who found? Who is the doer of the action? I found. So I is the subject here. Then what did I find? That a ditch near my house. So this is an object. So what is the sentence format here? Subject plus verb plus object. So we know it is subject plus verb plus object, means it is in active voice. Now let's discuss next one. It had been thrown there. Now what action is done here? So it is thrown. Had been thrown there. These are the verbs. Okay. Now there word is showing the direction of the action where it takes place. So it is adverb. It is not a part of verb or subject here. Now what was thrown or what had been thrown? So it had been thrown. So it is the word that is the receiver of the action. It is not the word showing the doer of the action. So obviously here it is object. So we have here object plus verb. No subject is mentioned, subject is omitted here, that means it is in passive form. So the sentence has again the same format, object plus verb plus subject. So we can say that this sentence is in passive voice. This is in passive voice. Now last two are left. First one is here, my father gave it to the mechanic. Now what action is done here? What is the verb here? Gave. Who gave? My father. So my father is the doer of the action. So it is subject. What did my father give? So it to the mechanic is another part. But what did my father give? My father gave it. So this it is an object of the sentence. Again the sentence format is subject plus verb plus object. So subject plus verb plus object, it means it is in active voice. Okay. Now last one, the mechanic repaired it for me. Now you can easily find it. What is the verb here? Repaired. Now what is repaired? It is repaired. So it is receiving the action of repairing. So it is an object. Who repaired? The mechanic. So, the doer of the action is given, it is on the same place, on the place of subject. So, the receiver of the action is on the object place, doer of the action is on the subject place, means the subject of place is given the importance. So, it is active here. Since it is active, the sentence is in active voice. Again we have subject plus verb plus object format. So, this is how you can identify whether the given sentence is in an active voice or passive voice. It is very easy first to find the verb. One clue which is always given in the sentence, that by term is there, but it is not compulsory, sometimes that by term can be omitted. In that case you have to find out the verb, and after finding the verb you can raise the question who, and then you will get the object or the subject. You ask who does the action, you will get subject, or by whom the action is done, you will get the subject. Who receives the action, if you will ask, you will get the object. And if object in the sentence is placed on the place of subject, then you can easily find it that the sentence is in passive voice. In this way you can easily differ the voices of the sentences, active or passive. So, I hope this idea, this concept is very clear to you. So, separately with all the rules, regulations and the formats of active voice, passive voice will go through thoroughly when the grammar lectures will go on. But at present, as you are studying this topic from the last 2-3 classes, I hope you understood, you recalled the forming of the active voice, passive voice sentences, and you are able to complete this exercise. Now, let us see if there is any doubt. So, if you have any doubt still about this exercise, you can share with me. Okay, so no doubts are here on the screen. Okay, so this completion of the exercise we can consider here, and let us see what is next in the lesson here. Now, next is speaking and writing activity. So, what you have to do here, it is expected a student to speak about, share his or her opinions, his views about the topic, and also write them in the given format. So, what is the question? Let us discuss here. Suppose you are one of the volunteers who went to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, as our story is also from the Andaman Nicobar Islands about the tsunami struck there. So, what happened there? If you are the volunteer, the people, those who are giving their services in the place where the natural calamities took place or something like that, where the rehabilitation work is going on or like that. So, the member of the team who is helping the sufferers. So, if you are there for relief work after the tsunami, so you are one among them, those who are trying to bring the people back on normal condition, trying to help them in that condition. You work in the relief camps, distributing food, water and medicine among the victims, the sufferers of the tsunami. You listen to the various stories of bravery of ordinary people, even as they fight against odds to bring about some semblance of normalcy in their lives. So, the people who suffered a lot and how much they struggled to come back on a normal condition, you heard about them, their experiences, their stories. How was your experience after hearing that? What were your feelings after hearing them? So, you admire their grit and determination, you praised their courage, you praised their bravery, the way they struggled, you try to cheer up them. Then you write a diary entry. So, how is your experience doing that work? What type of feeling you had about the people you met there, you heard their stories, that everything you have to write in the form of diary, and the beginning of the diary is suggested here. So, it is up to you, you can start your diary in this way or your own way you can start a diary. So, we will try to have some sentences in the continuation of this diary, so that you will have an idea, and then you can attempt this question yourself, as it is a speaking and writing exercise. So surely it is needed to discuss. So here, though the face to face discussion is not possible, but the way I will try to give you an example how you can extend this diary entry, and then you can write it, you can have your own diary entry regarding this topic. So as you know the format of the diary entry, very first the date is mentioned here, 31st December 2004. Then the killer tsunami struck these islands 5 days ago, but the victims are being brought in even now. Each one has a story to tell. So relief work is still going on, though the 5 days over for that incident, that natural calamity, but still the people who were trapped there, who were shifted somewhere else with the tides, waves of the tsunami, and now they are found somewhere either hurt or unhurt. They were brought back to the relief camps. And how was your, that is the beginning, it is given here, that though 5 days were over, but still the sufferers or the victims of the tsunami are brought to the camps, and you are there to serve them, help them. So how you will continue? You may continue that each one has a story to tell. Some of these stories of courage and the suffering brings goosebumps, or let me experience goosebumps on my, like goosebumps. And some of the stories of the mishappenings, the people, those who are separated, those who lost their beloved ones, filled my eyes with tears. It's difficult to understand or imagine the actual condition of these people who were missing their beloved ones, who were trying to come out of that trauma, come out of that shock. Being a voluntary member, I am trying my best to make them comfortable, to provide them needful medicines, to give them treatment, first aid treatment, whatever possible. The severe injuries are shifted for the better medical facilities, but this experience forced me to think that are we human beings really powerful and able to know everything, or able to do whatever we want, or still the nature has kept the power in its hand. Like this you can continue this diary entry and you can bring it at the closing. So this is what the writing activity you have to fulfill, you have to complete yourself. And one more question is shared here in this activity, writing and speaking activity. It is given here, the story shows how a little girl saved the lives of many tourists when a tsunami struck the beach. Thanks to the geography lesson that she had learnt at school, she remembered the visuals of a tsunami and warned her parents. So you know this story is of Telly Smith, the small girl who was in Thailand with her parents for Christmas vacations, and when she was at the beach on the specific day, she saw the form of sea changing, and suddenly she recalled the audio visual aids she shared in her class, geography class, and the meaning of those videos discussed by their geography teacher, and made them aware about the natural calamity called tsunami. The girl was quick to resemble both of the conditions. She was quick to match and understand the condition, and she started screaming and shouting, and that made her parents alert, and they escaped from that place, and along with them many of the visitors ran from that place to the safer place, and they were able to save themselves. So it was just because of the girl was able to recall the grasped knowledge and use it in her real life. So this incident is recalled here, and why it is recalled, what actually we have to do here. So it is mentioned here, do you remember any incident when something that you learned in the classroom helped you in some way outside the classroom? Any of the topic, might be from science, might be from your language classes, might possible from your SST classes, maths classes, whatever that you learned and later on in your real life you use that knowledge. So any of such experience if you have to share in this question. If you do not have, then you can imagine and you can share here. For example, like you are studying loss and profit, you are studying about the areas and the breadth and the length and then perimeter and all. So if you need to make that boundary wall, or you need to make any of the boundary or some covering or embankment to any of your project, then how you are able to find out the paper cutting for that. Or you need to go to market and you need to do some deal, at that time how the formulas of profit and loss helped you. Okay, when you were about to boil the water at home, or you were about to, means you are cooking something in the kitchen, and that time how you recalled about the boiling water and the steam and evaporation and all, that if you are able to recognize in your real life, you are able to match it, or any other such incident that helped you in your real life, that is expected to share here. For example, I'll give you that the day I was coming back from the school, on the way one of the student from our school, might possible a junior, I saw fell on the road. He might had an accident and he slipped from his cycle and had an injury on his ankle. When I and my friend saw him, suddenly we came down off our cycles and we saw the boy had a cut on the ankle. Suddenly I remembered about the first aid that my teacher taught on the same day in our science class, and fortunately I had a first aid box that was made in class as a practical. I took out that first aid box. I had a first treatment or first aid to that schoolmate. I washed his injury with a water from my water bottle. Then I put some ointment there and had a bandage on it, and asked my friend to go to doctor, as that schoolmate to go doctor. In this way I was able to give some relief from the pain to my schoolmate, junior schoolmate, using the knowledge and the technique shared by our teacher that we learned in our science class. In this way you can share any of such experience. Okay, you may like one day our sports teacher taught us that when the person feels a problem in breathing and having no other equipment to let the person feel, the sports teacher showed us some of the techniques that we can make the person feel comfortable. He asked us to take any of the paper or any of the carry bag, hold it in front of the mouth and breathe in that polythene, or in that one cone can be made with the paper, in that part we can make. So the air that will be released from the mouth in that bag can be inhaled again, and after doing it for a while the person can feel better. The same I used with one of my classmates, when suddenly in sports period the girl started feeling heavy breathing and feeling uncomfortable. So in this way you can share. These are all imaginary experiences I have shared with you. You may have any real experience. If not, then surely, as this question is the part of the activity, you need to imagine and you need to write the answer. So this is what in the language, when you have this type of questions where you have to share any of the experience that relates with the story given in the chapter. If you do not have such a personal experience, if any others experience you have heard earlier, you can use it. If you do not have, then you can imagine yourself having all the required backgrounds and characters, and then you can present it in the chapter. So the most important is dealing with the language. This type of questions are asked so that students will think beyond the text given in the story. They will be able to judge the condition they will be able to decide their actions in that type of circumstances, and they may understand the concept better. So this is what the questions are given here. So these two questions you have to solve yourself, share your experience, and as I told you, if you do not have any experience, you can imagine that one. So these two exercises we have already discussed here. Now one information is shared here in the chapter, at the end of the chapter, that Kachal is one of the largest islands in the central group. It is about 61 square miles in area. It is slightly hilly at the center, but otherwise remarkably flat. So this is shared here because we were talking about the incidents took place in Kachal and all those things near the as it is an island part, coastal area, the tsunami left there very harsh marks of the incident. Now what's next on the paper? Here one beautiful poetry shared, a very funny and nice poetry shared here. I feel when I read this poem, I feel that how innocent the children are, and sometimes their innocence brings a laughter or creates a laughter and brings a smile on the face. So let's see what is happening in the poem. Betty at the party. So this is a girl whose name was Betty, and she was in one party. What happened at that party, that is shared here. Now what is given here? When I was at the party. Now here the poem is in a narrative form. Betty herself is sharing her experience at the party. So she said that when I was at the party, said Betty, aged just 4. So the age of that girl is just 4 years old. So you can imagine how small that girl was. And a little girl fell off her chair right down upon the floor. So this girl, she was talking to her mother, and she said, a small girl told her mother, Mama, when I went to party, no, suddenly one girl fell from the chair. And you know how embarrassing it is for anyone to fall down in the party or in a crowded area from the chair or like that. So Betty was sharing that incident with her mother. She told that when she was enjoying party, suddenly one girl in the party fell from the chair right down upon the floor, and all the other little girls began to laugh. So it was quite obvious when someone will fall suddenly down, the first thing that happens, the people around the person had a laughter, can have a laughter. They start laughing. They have a smile on their face. The same thing happened when that Betty went to a party. She was 4 years old. That means the party was of small kids only. Maybe any of the friends' birthday party it was. So the children went there, and one child suddenly fell from the chair, and all the children around her started laughing at her. But me, what Betty says, but me, I didn't laugh a single bit, said Betty seriously. She was so serious to say, Mama, all the children started laughing at that person, but I didn't laugh, I didn't smile, or I didn't make a fun of that person. Why not? Her mother asked her, full of delight to find that Betty, bless her little heart, had been so sweetly kind. So mother was so proud on her daughter. She thought, oh wow, my daughter is so sincere. She knows that if she would laugh, the person might feel bad. So she is quite smart, she is quite sensitive. She knew very well that on such moment one should not laugh on the person would feel bad. So having that feeling for the daughter, feeling that her daughter was sincere enough to understand what not to do in that condition, so she didn't smile, she didn't laugh, and she asked that, what is the reason, why didn't you laugh there? Then what was the answer? Why didn't you laugh, my darling? Or don't you like to tell? So mother asked her, beta, what was the reason? Why didn't you laugh when others were laughing at the person? Or you don't want to share with me? Is there anything that you don't want to share with me, or something like that? So what was the reason? Girl said, I didn't laugh, said Betty, because it was I that fall. Because Betty was the person who fell from the chair, and the others were laughing at her, and that was the reason. Obviously the person who fell down would not laugh on himself or herself. That's why Betty did smile. So such a nice, beautiful, funny poem it was. I hope this poem brought a smile on your face. So here we have completed the discussion of the chapter, explanation of the chapter, back exercises, grammar topic from the lesson, and also the speaking writing activity questions. So if you have any doubt, I am giving you time, you can ask me. So we have time, we can go back on the topic and we can recall it. So let me know if you have any doubt. Okay. So there is no doubt or query is flashing again on the screen. So okay, so we can consider that the topics which we have discussed were discussed thoroughly. All the concepts of the stories were clear to you, and even the topic of active voice passive voice, though we revised it in short, but I hope you are able to recall the previous knowledge. And if not, I have already told you that the topic needs a deep discussion, thoroughly discussion. So during grammar classes surely we will do that one thing. So here we have completed this one more chapter from your syllabus. Very soon we will be together with new topic. There will have a discussion, practice, and also the theory to discuss and understand. So till then, keep learning, keep enjoying. Thank you. Have a nice day.